All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on something amazing, the secret blueprint behind, well, pretty much everything you own.
Now, seriously, just for a second, look around. Your phone, that coffee cup, the chair you're in, they all just exist, right? They feel so complete. But have you ever really stopped to think about how they got here? I mean, how did they go from just a bunch of raw stuff scattered across the planet to the actual thing you're using right now?
Well, it's definitely not magic. It's this incredibly organized, kind of hidden system that's always working behind the scenes. It's the crucial bridge, the thing that takes an idea or just a pile of raw materials and actually turns it into something you can hold and use.
And yeah, that system has a name. It's called Materials Technology Management, or MTM for short. What is it really? Well, it's basically the master plan for every single component of a product, from sourcing the right materials at the right price, to storing them safely, to using them without waste. You can think of it as the ultimate playbook for how we build our world.
So, to really get our heads around this, we're going to walk through the 5 key stages of a materials journey. We'll kick things off with selection, then dive into procurement and supply, handling and storage, and cost management. And we'll wrap it up with a really important one, sustainability. You ready? Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, choosing the right stuff. This is the first and maybe the most critical decision. Before anyone even thinks about building anything, this one choice has to be made. And that choice is, what are we going to make this thing out of? Sounds simple, right? But it's this huge balancing act. You're basically juggling 3 big questions all at once. First, will it actually work? Does it have the right properties? Second, can we afford it? And third, can we even get our hands on it reliably? You mess up this first step and the whole project could be a bust before it even begins.
This is a perfect example of that trade-off. Think about aerospace. You could build a plane with aluminum. It's light, it's not crazy expensive, it works. But for something like a high-performance fighter jet, they almost always go with titanium. Why? Well, it costs a ton more, but its strength-to-weight ratio is just off the charts. It's a performance need that you just can't compromise on. That right there is a classic MTM decision.
So, you've picked your material. Awesome. But a decision on paper doesn't build anything. Now you actually have to get the stuff. And that brings us to stage 2, the wild global journey of getting parts on time.
The goal here sounds simple. Get high-quality materials at a good price delivered at the perfect moment. But in reality, it's like this massive, complicated dance. You've got to find good suppliers, haggle on the price, and then get it to the factory exactly when you need it. I mean, if it's too early, you're wasting money on storage. If it's too late, well, the whole assembly line just stops. Huge problem.
And this whole process involves a ton of moving parts. You're constantly vetting your suppliers. Are they reliable? Is their quality good? Then you have to manage your inventory like a hawk, because, having too much stuff sitting around is just tying up money that could be used elsewhere. And on top of all that, you're coordinating the absolutely mind-bending logistics to move things all over the world.
And here's a brilliant real-world example of this in action. A lot of car companies use what's called a just-in-time or JIT system. Think about it. They don't have a giant warehouse packed with tires. Instead, the tires show up at the assembly line just as the car that needs them rolls up. It's an incredible way to slash storage costs.
Okay, so the materials are here. The truck has arrived. But don't celebrate just yet, because the journey is far from over. Getting them to the factory door is one thing. Now you have to deal with the super critical step of handling and storage. And here's why this is so important. All that time and money you spent finding the absolute perfect material, it's all for nothing if it gets damaged or just goes bad sitting in a warehouse. This whole stage is about protecting your investment, making sure the top-notch quality you paid for is what actually ends up in the final product. I mean, think about something where the stakes are incredibly high, like medicine. Pharmaceuticals have to be stored in these super precise, temperature-controlled warehouses. If they get too warm or too cold, their chemical structure can break down. They become ineffective, or worse, they could actually be dangerous. That's why getting this part right is absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, so we've picked our material, we've gotten it delivered, and we've stored it safely. We've been following the physical journey. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the money. It's time to look at the bottom line. When most of us think about cost, we just think about the purchase price, right? The number on the invoice. But in MTM, that's literally just the tip of the iceberg. A smart approach is about managing the total cost of that material from beginning to end.
And this chart shows you exactly what I mean, what's hiding under the water.
Sure, the purchase cost is probably the biggest chunk, but look at everything else. You got transportation costs, all the money spent on handling and storage, and even the cost of disposing of any waste material. It all adds up to the real cost.
Here's a super simple, real-world example. Imagine a construction company. They could buy cement from overseas for a slightly cheaper price per bag. But once they factor in the insane cost of shipping it across an ocean, it's actually way more expensive. So what do? They switch to a local supplier. It's a classic case of looking at the total cost, not just the sticker price.
So, the product is built, it's boxed up and ready to go. But today, the story doesn't just end there. The materials journey has one more chapter, and it's one that's becoming more and more important every single day.
Yeah, the whole idea of materials technology management has really evolved. It used to be all about being fast and cheap for the company. But now there's this much bigger conversation happening. The focus is shifting to sustainability, to figuring out how we can be smarter with our resources to cut down on waste and reduce our impact on the planet.
And this means thinking about sustainability from the very start. It could be designing a product so it's easy to recycle when it's done. Or it could be something cool, like upcycling. You know, where the waste from one manufacturing line becomes the raw material for a completely different product. Or it could be as simple as choosing eco-friendly materials from the get-go.
And this example is just perfect. Think about furniture companies that use reclaimed wood. Instead of harvesting new timber, they're taking old wood and giving it a new life. Not only does this save trees and reduce waste, but it gives each piece of furniture its own unique history, its own story. It's smart, it's sustainable, and honestly, it's just really cool.
So there you have it. From a crucial choice about titanium in a jet, to the perfectly timed delivery of a tire, all the way to the second life of reclaimed wood, that's the hidden blueprint. That's materials technology management. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you pick something up, anything at all, take a second to think about its incredible, invisible journey to find its way into your hands.